All right, last video. How to write empirical formulas from percent compositions. An empirical formula is a ratio, it's reduced. We can use percent compositions to figure out what the empirical formula of a substance is. Questions look something like this. A compound is composed of 63% manganese, and 37% oxygen, what is the empirical formula? All right, first step in this process will be to convert those percents to grams. And this sounds complicated, but it's simply a matter of taking the percent sign off and putting grams on. So for manganese, it's going to be 63 grams, and for oxygen, it's going to be 37 grams. The assumption is we always have a 100-gram sample. So if 63% of that 100 grams is manganese, that's 63 grams. And again, if we have a 100-gram sample and 37% of it's oxygen, 37 grams will be oxygen. So we really just have to change the percent sign to grams. Step 2, convert the grams to moles. For this, we're going to use the atomic mass or molar mass for these elements from the periodic table. So for manganese, the mass is 54.94. So we say 1 mole of manganese is equal to 54.94 grams. So we'll start with our 63 grams times, and then the conversion factor. Because we have grams here, we have to put the grams on the bottom. So 54.94 grams on the bottom, 1 mole on top. Because the number that's not 1 is on the bottom, we're going to divide by that number. So it's 63 divided by 54.94. And we get 1.15. So this is just a mole mass conversion, just like we've done before. Now we'll do the same thing for the oxygen. Again, going to our periodic table, 1 mole of oxygen is 16.00 grams of oxygen. And again, this is just the mass off the periodic table. Again, we start with our given number, our 37 grams, times in our conversion factor. Because we have grams there, we got to put grams on the bottom. The 1 mole goes on top. This makes the grams of oxygen cancel out. Again, this number that's not 1 is on the bottom, so we divide by it. 37 divided by 16 is 2.31. Now, next step. Find the smallest number. And divide all the rest by it. So going up here, our smallest number is the 1.15 moles of manganese. So for manganese, it'd be 1.15 divided by 1.15, or 1. And for the oxygen, it would be 2.31 divided by 1.15, which is 2. We want to round these to whole numbers, because these are going to be the subscripts for my formula. So the subscript for my manganese is 1, so just Mn. And the subscript for my oxygen is going to be 2. MnO2 would be the empirical formula. Now, if we wanted to find a molecular formula, I would also have to give you the molecular formula mass of that substance. So you would have to take this another step further and figure out what the formula mass is of the empirical formula, take the molecular divided by the empirical, and that tells you how to modify the subscripts on your empirical formula, what to multiply them by. But since this is an ionic compound, you're not likely to see a molecular formula for that particular substance.